And welcome to the Oracle of Enlightenment Vortex. I'm the observer, Sal Monaco, along with co-hosting tonight, the great Vanessa.
Yeah, very great. Mm-hmm.
And we're matching hippies tonight.
Yeah, we're matching one of the best colors, pink.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Unfortunately, due to certain situations, our co-hosts and guests couldn't make it, so we're going to try to tackle this ourselves. Before I get into our category, I just want to say I'm very upset about the fact that Fantasy Island has closed down again.
No.
I just went back there last year when they finally had everything up and running, and I had a good time all last summer there, and then this had to happen. So I really hope somebody out there will buy the park and get it back up and running, because who knows how to run the park, because the two groups that bought the park since Marty gave it up did not know how to run things. They had good ideas, but they weren't good at the general running of the park and matching the marketing. So everybody out there, try to circulate the knowledge that we need someone to buy the park and open it.
Hey, remember when for a little while they renamed it Two Flags Over Niagara?
That was for 1 year.
Yeah.
And that was such a disaster that
it was. Towpath wrote a song about it.
Thankfully, Marty bought it after that.
Remember somebody fell off the Ferris wheel and died?
I was working there at the time. No, that happened while it was still Fantasy Island.
No, because I remember because it was like because it was in the song, because it happened right after it became Two Flags Over Niagara.
No,
I thought
it happened in '91 because I was working there, and I know what happened.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
What happened?
I can't say it over the air.
Oh. Good thing we're not over the air. We're over wires, I think. We don't have a broadcast tower. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, anyway, I'm upset at the passing of Marineland as well. And unlike Fantasy Island, there's no chance they're going to open up again.
Oh, no, because, the marine life was, part of Marineland.
Yeah.
And now...
And the idea that they mistreated the animals was ridiculous. I went there many times, and I never saw the animals being mistreated.
No, you're probably not going to see it if you're, the audience, right?
Mm. But I did media for them, and I never saw anything off the edge, except that one thing that always bothered me is when people come who don't speak English and they don't understand the rules, what are the ride operators supposed to do? I saw that happen one time. That's the only thing I can think of that was at a show. Darien Lake has changed hands quite a bit over the last 20 years, at least 5 times, but somebody always buys it and puts it back. And it was, for a while, it was part of
Six Flags.
Yeah, and they had the Batman stunt show, which actually was pretty cool. They always and they always did good with Halloween too. So, but they didn't have as good shows as Fantasy Island. I mean, they had a couple of decent shows, and they had the laser show. But Fantasy Island had at least 14 shows in one day, and they were all really good. And in the old days, there were a ton of different types of shows, which I really loved. They even had a circus show at one time, and a diving show. I worked there for 4 years at Fantasy Island for 4 years under 3 different administrations, and let me tell you, it was wild.
Yeah, what would you do there?
I was a ride operator.
Ooh, what rides?
Pretty much everything.
Mm.
They just sent me where they needed me. There were only a few rides I never got to work. The Ferris wheel being one of them.
Devil's Hole.
I got to work that once.
Mm-hmm.
The original Devil's Hole.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved working on the yo-yo.
They
That
never.
was my favorite.
That's like the viewer.
The flying swings ride.
Hey, did they didn't happen to have a wild mouse at any time, did they?
Yes.
Did they? That's the best thing ever. They had that at Fun and Games Park in the 70s.
Mm-hmm. Well, someone else who still remembers Fun and Games.
That place is great.
That was.
Yeah, I still have I wish I don't know if I have it in my prop bag. I have something I won at Fun and Games Park. Yeah, here it is. It's the rubber dagger. I won this thing from skee ball when I was like 4 years old at Fun and Games Park, and I still have it. It's one of my fun props. See, it's a fun rubber knife. It's a good thing for kids to play with their fun rubber knives.
Yeah. I was wondering why Fun and Games Park closed. I'm gonna have to look into that.
It became that horrible business park thingy with the BJ's Warehouse and all at the Colvin Extension.
And it was right next to the whale.
Yeah, the Blue Whale Car Wash and the I-290 Drive-In.
Yep.
Where I saw the best double feature I ever saw in my life when it was new. Logan's Run and Westworld.
Oh, two great
Pivotal
ones. You know, I still haven't seen the original Logan's Run.
Oh, well, I have it on
Westworld, though.
I have it on this format. I should have brought it if I would have known.
What format is that?
That's capacitance electronic disc. This was the competitor to Laserdisc at the time. RCA started working on this in the late 50s, and it wasn't feasible till early 80s. By that time, videotapes, VHS had gotten huge, so the timing was bad. But they were trying to make a disc. It plays with a needle, a stylus, and it reads capacitance. So it plays with a stylus and it can wear out. But it was a competitor to Laserdisc, and it was great because it was a big failure.
Yeah, Laserdiscs didn't last very long either.
No. But Laserdiscs being read with a laser were less likely to wear out. This was with a stylus. There are some people who collect these things, and there's news groups for them. But the guy who knew how to fix the stylus died a couple years ago, so they're trying to find someone else who can fix the styli so you can keep your machines alive. I had two that worked, and one of them is in Hawaii still, and the other one, the post office had fun with it, and they broke a proprietary plastic part inside it that I can't replace. So
too bad. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's an interesting one. Well, maybe we'll devote a show.
We should do a show on on the different formats.
Different formats and technologies, like why VHS beat beta. And
I'll tell you why.
Why?
Because VHS, you could fit more time, and it was an even time. You could fit like 2 hours, 4 or 6, depending on the speed.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I believe beta had some weird recording times, like 1 hour and 35 minutes, with some real off times that weren't to the hour. And that was a big factor, was the time.
Mm-hmm. Do they still sell those ones those machines that transfer VCR to
DVD?
DVD, yeah.
Probably not. Do they even? Because everyone's got the Blu-ray now, right?
Or they use DVRs and...
or they stream.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't capture those. You can just watch them. I mean, you could, but you need a special equipment.
But you know what you do? You set your VHS-C camcorder up on a tripod in front of the computer screen, and you like shoot off the screen like a bootleg movie from when they used to do that. People used to do that in the movie theaters. They take a camcorder in, and videotape the movie. That was great.
Yeah,
that was the only way to
like
watch
you said, it didn't look good.
Of course it didn't. It looks sort of like the quality of some of the podcasts on this channel, but like even worse.
Not this show, of course.
No, not this one. We got an actual engineer who knows what they're doing.
Yeah. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the main topic. We'll probably do that one as a separate show, and we're going to move on to the main topic of tonight's show, which is the Muppets. Now, for those of you who know, up until the late 70s, the Muppets were used for mostly kids' shows like Sesame Street and let me see if I can find out. Now, we all know Sesame Street. And what do we got here?
Hotbed of wokeness before woke was a thing.
What do you mean?
Sesame Street. It was. It has like all the diversity and the.
Oh yes, yes, yes.
Often it gets credited with like being a pioneer in the
for kids'
movement.
television. Yeah. Yeah, but there was a lot of stuff beforehand that Jim Henson did.
Like what?
Sesame
Let's tell us
Street.
some stuff.
Well, he did a short film called Timepiece, which I have yet to find. And he did a lot of local shows, like kind of like Tune In With Me, where it was a local show for kids, and then it got expanded on syndication.
Do you know what market that started in?
Chicago.
Okay.
That's the same place as Svengoolie, which is why there's constant crossovers between the two shows.
Mm.
In fact, one of the actors is on both shows and on House of Svengoolie. He was also responsible. Well, I mean, these are films. I wanted to know what. Here we go. The Junior Morning Show in 1954. 55 to 56, Afternoon with Inga. 1955, In Our Town. 55 to 61, Sam and Friends. 56, Footlight Theater. 62, Tales of the Tinkerdee. And then the Jimmy Dean Show, The Cube, The Wizard of Id, Hey Cinderella, till finally Sesame Street.
So these shows featured his puppetry.
His earliest puppetry. In fact, Kermit and probably some of the other ones were shown in their earliest form on these shows. Sesame Street, in my opinion, became his biggest thing.
Can you find any of this old stuff up on the interwebs, like
that
YouTube?
Would be a good idea to look, because like we didn't handle it very well here in Buffalo. We used to have 3 shows that were shot here in Buffalo for kids that were really popular. Mm-hmm. Commander Tom, Rocket Ship 7, and the new Rocket Ship 7. Mm-hmm. And they never bothered to record those. Oh. So once they went off the air, you never saw them again, unless someone videoed them themselves.
Wow.
Or they did have a few pieces of promotional footage, but the actual episodes that ran for all those years are lost.
What a tragic loss. Do you remember the Uncle Bobby show from CFTO TV Channel 9 in Toronto Cable 8?
I believe so, yes.
Well, they used to rerun a few select episodes after it got canceled, and they were in color. But I think Uncle Bobby, either a lot of the tapes got recorded over, or they just weren't preserved.
Well, yeah, just like the original.
That was a great show. That was since the 50s. That was on.
Yeah, like the first 6 seasons of Doctor Who. How many of the episodes were destroyed?
Right,
and they had to rebuild them.
Mm-hmm, they have to rebuild them from the script, and then they have the
animation.
They have the frames for the storyboard on something.
Well, there's that, but they've also been doing animated remakes.
Oh, good, animated, good. Okay,
and they've been pretty good. I mean, they're probably about 50% as good as the original, but there's enough of the story to actually, and they use the same audio. They have all the audio tracks.
Oh, they actually at least have the audio.
All the audio.
How the heck
tracks.
did they end up saving the audio but not the video?
That is a good question.
Did you know back then they had this in England? They had this early videotape, and it was a gigantic spool of metal. It was a gigantic spool of metal tape. It was actual metal tape, and they had it in this room that you didn't want to go into or near, because if the tape snapped, the metal tape would probably kill you. And that was huge. These reels were enormous, and it ran at a super high speed with like a stationary head, like a cassette deck would have instead of the rotating head. That's why VHS and video recorders use a rotating head. It's on a drum where the little heads spin around at a certain rate in accordance with the tape path advancing, so you can get these little vertical lines all going down the video. Mm-hmm. So that's why your newer videotape works so well. But back then they were trying to do a linear thing, and it had to be super fast, and it was metal reels, and they would record over it. And in the BBC in England, people would sometimes laugh or complain about when they were watching a videotaped show, because it would have all this weird jitter and artifact, and you'd be all blurry and fuzzy around the edges. Mm-hmm. So that was a fascinating thing, finding out about the early days of videotape.
Right. Kermit and Ralph the dog were in a lot of the earlier Muppet shows that we mentioned earlier. including the Jim Dean show.
Jim Dean, like Jimmy Dean, like the pork sausage?
Yeah.
Or like Jimmy Dean, the male equivalent to, where is it?
After Sesame Street.
Male equivalent of Marilyn Monroe, but
very nice.
I got a bunch of these. I got a bunch of CEDs here today.
Very nice.
That's the bus stop. That's where you find Dragon Lord Frodo. Shouts out.
Very nice. After Sesame Street, there were four shows featuring Kermit and Ralph the dog. The Muppets on Puppets, The Frog Prince, The Muppets Musicians of Brenman, and The Muppets Valentine's Show. And those featured Kermit or Ralph the dog or both. It was in 1975 that we got The Muppet Show Sex and Violence.
Ooh.
Which I think was the although Kermit was in it, he was not the host. The host was Nigel, who normally does the band. He's their conductor. And Floyd and Sam the Eagle were his co-hosts. Floyd, the leader of the Electric Mayhem. And the Swedish Chef made his debut, I think, there. And they had the talking George Washington and the other ones from Mount Rushmore.
Was Trump one of them? They're going to put him on it.
Yeah, well, oh God, no. Well, then they took the pilot, and the network didn't want anything to do with it, and it was shot. The good thing about it is it was
pilot.
It was shot in England.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
With English actors and English accents and all that.
Well, in case you noticed, a lot of the guests on the original Muppet Show were English people. Charles Aznavour, Zero Mostel, because it was actually shot in England. And as you know, England's productions most of the time are a lot better than ours.
Of course.
So that's also why when they did something in a cowboy establishment, it looked more like a British pub.
Right.
But when they turned down it, George Washington. He played George Washington. Jim Henson actually made a short film with a Muppet doing a pitch, and it was so well done. I've seen it. I mean, you want to talk about shameless promotion. He gave it to them. They looked at it, and they said, okay, we'll give you a chance. Now, he showed them Sex and Violence, and they says, you need to make a bunch of changes. Now,
hey, do you think the Exploited song, you know, the punk band, the Exploited from the mid-'80s, an oi band, they had a song called Sex and Violence. I wonder if
it did have something to do with it. So, some changes were made, and the original Muppet Show was created. But they said that they thought it was ridiculous to have a bunch of Muppets try to do an adult type show, an adult variety show. Now, keep in mind, the Muppets had been on Saturday Night Live at this point. You can't get any more adult than that.
Right.
But Kermit was doing both shows. He was doing the Muppet Show and Sesame Street. And he had guest stars from Sesame Street every so often, like Ernie and Bert.
Ernie and Bert had a very special relationship back before that was a thing to talk about.
Right, and Big Bird did one episode, and about 7 others, including Ernie and Bert.
How about Roosevelt Franklin? Remember Roosevelt Franklin? Why did they kill off Roosevelt Franklin? And Guy Smiley, the newscaster, he seemed to disappear after a while on Sesame Street. All my favorite characters, they eventually got rid of.
I would have to do a separate show on Sesame Street because I haven't done any research on that.
I know a lot about that. But
I did know what you said, though.
But did you...
I do know why Harvey Kneeslapper and Simon Soundman were killed off.
Oh, yeah? Tell me why.
Because it was the actors who were doing their voices, it was causing damage to their voice.
Oh.
Well, that's what happened for Harvey Kneeslapper. For Simon, we're not sure exactly what happened.
I always wondered if Elmo was responsible, if he was like a serial killer, and he did in Roosevelt Franklin and Guy Smiley, earlier characters that
Well,
disappeared.
part of the reason Guy Smiley disappears because they started having people from actual game shows coming on and hosting the game shows. Like Richard Dawson was on there doing a Family Feud and something. But I exactly why I don't know. That's going to be a separate show. But after when they started to do the Muppet Show, nobody wanted to be on it because they thought it was ridiculous. So George had to call in, again with George, Jim Henson had to call in his professional friendships in order to have guests for the Muppet Show. People he had worked on with on other shows like Jim Neighbors, Ruth Buzzy, Sandy Duncan. And then some English people stepped in because they wanted a chance to really get on American television, like Joel Grey in season 1, Charles Aznavour, Peter Ustinov. A lot of English people were on the show during the first season and throughout the show, actually.
I remember when it started to pick up there, they always had a lot of musical people.
Yep. Well, yeah, after
like
a
Alice
while.
Cooper.
Yes, exactly. After a while, when it started picking up and getting good ratings and everything, then all of a sudden everybody wanted to be on it. When Lena Horne said she was going to be on it, all of a sudden everybody was like, oh my gosh, we want to be on it. Fly us out to England. Yeah, that happens a lot, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. You know? But there was the first season had certain things in it that were not carried over into the rest of the show. Number one was the talking houses, which they had changed from the pilot. Instead of Mount Rushmore, they had the talking houses, mm-hmm. which I kind of thought wasn't bad. They had Hilda, the wardrobe lady. They had George, the janitor. They had Wayne and Wanda.
What were Wayne and Wanda?
They were the singing group that Sam would always introduce. Wayne and Wanda. And then they'd sing for a little while and something would happen and have them taken off. Plus, Fozzie always had his scene at the end. Plus, at the beginning, Fozzie told a joke to open up the show. And then Kermit would come out and introduce the guest star. He would sing a song, to introduce our guest star. That's what I'm here to do. So it really makes me happy to introduce to you. And then he'd say,
oh, that's right, yeah.
And during the first season, at the end, Gonzo would hit the O in Muppet Show with a drum stick.
Yeah.
So that one was one of the things. There were a few other things, like the design of some of the Muppets, like Miss Piggy and Fozzie both looked much different in the first season than they did in the rest of the show. And Gonzo and Janice both had different voices.
Hey, that reminds me of a tangential thing. You know McDonald Land, the TV commercials from the 70s, and they got sued by Sid and Marty Krofft for ripping off H.R. Puffin stuff.
You are correct.
It's probably a reference to dope, H.R. Puffin stuff, if you ask me. And that's what you see when you puff the stuff.
You know, I never thought of that.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of
the early, do you remember, did you know
Sid and Marty Krofft stuff?
The early Grimace was called Evil Grimace, and he had 4 arms instead of 2, so he could steal more milkshakes and
he also had
Cokes.
When he became regular Grimace, he had an uncle called Uncle Grimacy.
Yeah, for the Shamrock Shake.
Shamrock Shake. Yeah. He would show up every St. Patrick's Day. Mm-hmm. Oh, look, Vanessa, you got a nice compliment.
Oh, yes. I am very informative. I know many things.
Yes. So
many things, including some viewers, their things, some of them.
One of the things that was on the first season that we didn't see much of after was when they did Muppet News Flash. The guest star would make an appearance in that segment. Mm-hmm. You know, that stopped happening after a while. At the Dance was always, and during Veterinarian's Hospital, they would say, the continuing story of a former orthopedic surgeon who's gone to the dogs. From season 2 on, they changed it to the continuing story of a quack who's gone to the dogs.
I know a quack who's gone to the dogs.
Fuzzy
shouts out to another show.
Yeah, well, Fozzie's segment became Roundabout. It wasn't in every season.
Like the Yes song, Roundabout. I was just looking at the Roundabout promo single.
No, I mean that it wasn't in every show. They did, and his opening joke was removed in favor of something from Statler and Waldorf, or they would do something.
Hey, Statler and Waldorf. You realize they were named after those famous hotel chains?
Yes, of course.
Statler and Waldorf, like Waldorf Astoria.
Yeah,
like we had the Statler Hotel downtown.
Astoria is Waldorf's wife's name, who happens to look like Statler in drag. And we never, I don't think we ever met Statler's wife, but we know they had children because he watched his grandson in one episode. But Fozzie's design was changed, and he was put in more things other than just being the comedian.
Do we got any images of a before and after? I wonder if our engineer could dredge up an old Fozzie and a current.
Miss Piggy.
That'd be really cool.
I love the one where he goes to do the opening joke and goes, "Did you hear the one about the really fat pig?" And then Miss Piggy comes on board and says, "Did you hear the one about the really flat bear?" And then knocks him down. Following season 1, the Hilda, the wardrobe lady, was eliminated. Why, I don't know. But she was in the new pilot. So I was happy about that. First time she'd been seen since the first season. The talking houses were eliminated after season 1. Kermit's segment with the star where he interviews them, that became Roundabout too, when every so often. And their scene where they talk about raising the intellectual level of the show and doing some kind of debate with the celebrity. Sometimes the celebrity was playing a character and some of the Muppets. I always thought that was funny as heck. Yeah, with things like, and now for the intellectual part of our show, should you say that? Nobody might watch it. But it was really funny. But that was eliminated too after season 1. Never to be seen again. I think the machine that would grab people and like change them and stuff, that one was only seen once after the first season. So they wanted a more, when season 2 came, they wanted a more free-flowing format. So all these regular segments were eliminated. And like instead of Kermit introducing the guest star, Scooter would introduce the guest star by knocking on the door and saying such and such, 15 seconds to curtain, and then they do a joke segment with the celebrity. And then instead of Kermit coming out of the O and going back in, he'd come out and stay on it while the Muppet Show thing went up, and he would look down while it was going up. And then that's not from season 1, but
that's awesome.
That could be an earlier version of her.
Boy, look at that. Where's her MAGA hat?
And yeah. And one of the other things they changed was instead of Gonzo hitting it with a
mallet?
A drum
mallet.
He would do a what's it called? A trumpet, and something funny would happen. And that was done for the rest of the 4 seasons. And it became more grandiose, the opening, and with the monsters coming out and a lot of the Muppets coming along, and then one that kind of went from 3 to 6 to 5 to 7, kind of like that. And it became more grandiose at the end. Instead of saying, "This is what we call the Muppet Show," they said, "This is what we call the Muppet Show." Ding. There we go. That's first season, Miss Piggy.
Yeah, she has more like strawberry blonde type of, almost red type of hair, like James VII prefers, and
yeah, and
she's more blonde later.
Look at the way her eyes are. That's the main thing. And her voice was different. Her name is actually Pigathia, but they called her Miss Piggy. Something a lot of people didn't know. George was replaced, although George was kept as an occasional Muppet, his job as janitor was replaced by Beauregard, who was funnier. Scooter was introduced, I think, in the first episode, but he didn't become the gopher until season 2 or until episode 2 when they said when he said his uncle owns the theater, his uncle J.P. Gross, who would make an appearance every so often. Now, here's one thing that a lot of people don't know. When it was done, that's the original Fozzie. Thank you, Tom. That's the original Fozzie from the first season. Yeah. Something a lot of people don't know is that there was a UK segment that was never seen in America.
Oh?
Yes. Every episode has a 2-minute segment that was shown in the UK that is not shown in the American version.
It was probably good then.
Oh, it was very good.
Yeah.
But mainly because they have 2 minutes less of commercial time there than we do. And a lot of those segments were related to things that happened in the UK that they thought American kids wouldn't understand.
Oh.
Which, a lot of it is British songs and British Muppets and things like that. Not all of them. Some of them are just simple things like one of the Muppets playing a song or
poll tax,
having a
kidney pies
or having a talk, stuff like that. But it was always something important to the show, but that didn't have anything to do with the guest star.
It would have been great if the Sex Pistols would have been guests on there. They should have been. Oh, that would have been really nice. Why didn't Malcolm McLaren think of that? That's like something he should have thought of, if you ask me.
Well, if you guys watch it on Disney Plus right now, most of the UK segments are put back in there. I've only seen 2 episodes in the first 3 seasons that didn't have the UK segments for whatever reason. And unfortunately, they mashed the Don Knotts part, the episode, to ribbons because they lost the rights to Lullaby Birdlam. So they had to cut out everything in the episode that made reference to Lullaby Birdlam, which is most of the episode. It looks terrible now from there. You can get the original one online, though. But a lot of those UK segments were pretty good, especially the 3 ghosts singing in the back, singing "I'm looking through you," and Fozzie walks in, gets scared, and runs out. And then he comes back with a net and tries to get... That one was great.
How are you going to catch a ghost in a net? It would probably
It's Fozzie.
Float right through it.
Right, exactly. Mm-hmm. I think it was a net. I don't quite remember, but I don't
butterfly
remember
net, like when they
yeah.
take you to the crazy home when they put you in the butterfly.
Yes,
net.
One of those things. I think I can't say for sure. I just remember they turned the lights down in the back, and the 3 ghosts were flying over the backstage area. Now, season 2 did all those changes. Season 3 added the Gladys, the lady who ran the canteen in the basement, where they were constantly going down there and making food jokes, and she'd be running upstairs with somebody's order to tell a joke. Things like her saying, when Gonzo said, "I finished my meal." "Oh, that's okay. You can pay me later. I'm going up to do my death-defying stunt." "You'll pay me now." And that was added. And also Louis Kazagger and Muppet Sports was added as a reoccurring segment. And as we got into season 4, they trimmed the opening a little. But in season 5, they used the same... for the opening joke, they used the same instead of giving Statler and Waldorf something different every week. They started just having them sing, "Why do we always come here? I guess we'll never know. It's like a kind of torture to have to watch the show."
Oh, I know some shows like that. Oh boy, I'm on the station.
Exactly. But yeah, no, they weren't. They were from the first season of the Muppet Show. They might have been from the first movie. I don't remember at the moment. We're going to get into the movies so that's, after 5 seasons, the show did really well. Why it got canceled, I have no idea.
Wasn't Debbie Harry from Blondie on an episode?
Not that I remember.
No?
No. So then we started
Look
doing.
that up, engineer. See if I'm right.
I
think I'm right. If I'm right, put up the picture. I thought I was right.
Well, then he started doing the movies. We had the Muppet movie, which was supposed to be the origin story. Then we had the Great Muppet Caper. Why they made that, I have no idea. It makes no sense. But, I mean, the story makes no sense. You know, the only thing about it, you know, they're constantly singing that Happiness Hotel thing, and they're having Kermit and Fozzie be identical twins. I'm like, where did that come from?
Yeah.
And then came the Dark Crystal, which she's going to show.
That's the best. I think that's the best thing that ever crawled out of this whole universe.
The Skeksis and the Mystics.
Skeksis, I love. There's a Skeksy over here. Where is he? And there's
yeah,
Ogre.
That's Ogre.
The Mystic. There's no picture of the Mystic on here though.
Yeah, but that on the top there is the Gelfling.
Yeah, the Gelfling, and she's on top of the Dark Crystal. There.
There was a he and a she.
There were multiple ones. Yeah.
Yeah. The Dark Crystal. I don't think so.
Drain your essence.
But it might have been the first full movie to feature not just Muppets, but Jim Henson's Muppets.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, later on we'd get the one about the maze. What was it called? Labyrinth with
David Bowie.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. After that came the Muppets Take Manhattan, which was great.
Is it like Jason Takes Manhattan? I remember when Jason didn't take
sense.
Manhattan. He wasn't even in Manhattan. He was just on a boat in the harbor. That really
he finally got to Manhattan closer to the end.
He didn't do much at Manhattan.
No.
Hey, didn't Jim Prey work at Manhattan Bagel? Speaking of...
Okay, none of that.
He's my buddy. Shouts out.
The Muppets Take Manhattan was a really good movie, and it showed the Kermit and Miss Piggy getting married at the end.
Kermit and Miss Piggy, what would their children look like? Yikes.
That was just for the movie. They never actually got married in real life.
What would their children look like? Would that even be a viable species?
And then they did Sesame... yeah, really.
That'd be
Then they did Sesame Street, Follow That Bird, which they only showed once, and I never saw it.
That's horrible. That's why I only showed it once.
And then Labyrinth. And then he began to do Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the movies. The Witches. He was and Muppets Vision 3D.
With Vanilla Ice doing the ninja rap.
Exactly.
Yeah, Vanilla Ice.
Now, when he died, they did a thing that The Wizard of Id?
Like the comic strip?
Oh, I didn't know that one. That was in 69, the year after I was born.
Yeah, the comic strip, The Wizard of Id.
Yeah.
The little king, and they always call him a Fink, and he gets mad.
And then there was the various...
used to be in the Courier Express on the Sunday Funny pages.
Well, they did 3 more Muppet movies to start with. Muppets Treasure Island with Tim Curry, Muppets Christmas Carol with Michael Caine.
Because you can never redo that too many times.
Yeah,
huh?
and Muppets in Space, which featured Gonzo's origin.
What's his origin then?
He's an alien from outer space and was sent to Earth and forgot everything.
Why's he got a thing for chickens? Remember he was hanging out with all them chickens?
I don't know. You'll have to watch the movie.
Well, that's something to do with
But they said that wasn't canon, that it was just for the movie, just like Kermit and Miss Piggy's marriage. It was just for the movie.
So that's not canon either, eh?
No.
It's not even Nikon.
Yeah, well...
Or Pentax.
After that, they did a TV movie, Muppets Wizard of Oz. With Fozzie playing the lion, Gonzo playing the Tin Man, Kermit playing the Scarecrow, and Miss Piggy playing all 4 witches. And Dorothy, I think, was played by was it Brandy? I can't remember at the moment.
Who played Toto? Anybody?
Yes, Toto was changed from a dog to a crayfish. And they brought not a crayfish, a prawn, and then they brought out one of the new characters, Peppy the Prawn. So on Earth, he was a swimming fish, but when they got to Oz, he became a Muppet. Go figure.
Wow.
And then, of course, we have Emmett Otter's Jug Band.
That was
Christmas.
the best. Do you remember the River Bottom Nightmare Band?
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about the River Bottom Nightmare Band.
Christmas Eve on Sesame Street was one of my favorite Christmas specials ever. And they show it every so often. But it has Mr. Hooper in it, who died.
Do you like better of the Star Wars Christmas special?
Oh, God. I like that. I'm sorry. They did say the Star Wars Holiday Special is canon, but we could do a whole episode just on that, the crazy things that happened during that one. What were you saying about Emmett Otter's Jugman?
Oh, the River Bottom Nightmare Band, the villains. There was the rock band that won the talent show. I always liked how one of the members of the band wasn't an aquarium, it was a fish. Remember they had the aquarium in the back of the big nasty car that they would drive around in? That was great.
Yeah, well, the first attempt to revive the Muppet Show was Muppets Television, which was the first half hour of the Jim Henson Hour, along with a fantasy type story, fairy tale type story, which were horrendous.
Oh, I wanted to say one of my favorite lines from the River Bottom Nightmare Band. It reminds me of a lot of people I interact with, like in the media scene. It's like, we don't wish to learn, but we hate what we don't understand. That's a brilliant line from the song that they do. It's a great line.
Well, Muppets Television only made half a season, 13 episodes, and it had some good things. It introduced a few new Muppets like Peppy the Prawn and Clifford. And
who was Clifford? Tell us about Clifford.
I'm not exactly sure what he is. He might be a lion.
Look him up.
But
engineer.
He was first introduced on that show, and Digit was introduced, the robot, which we never saw again. But there was a lot of other characters that were introduced on that show that carried on further, and some that weren't seen again. It was not, even with guests like Ted Danson and Louis Anderson and some good singing segments with real bands.
Like who? Do you remember any of the
bands? I do not. It's been a long time. The ones that sang The Lion Sleeps Tonight.
Oh, the Tokens?
Yeah.
The vocal group?
Yeah.
How old were they?
Old.
I wonder how many original members were still in it.
I don't know.
You know how they do
Maybe
that?
it was a tribute band. Anyway, Muppets TV was I won't call it a disaster, but it wasn't nearly as successful as the original Muppet Show. Then, of course, the second attempt of course, we get the cartoons like Muppet Babies, Little Muppet Monsters, Big Bird in China. Oh, that was a TV film.
Was it
and Don't Eat the Pictures was in TV film too. I haven't seen either one of those.
Big Bird in Tiananmen Square.
I'm going to have to look these up. Rocky Mountain Holiday, that was a decent one.
Rocky Mountain Oyster Holiday.
And then, of course, Fraggle Rock. We can't forget about that.
Yeah, that was good. They had the big trash pile that was sentient and talked.
Mm-hmm.
The landfill pile, yeah.
Okay, and the second attempt to revive, there was, of course, the Storyteller, Fraggle Rock, the animated series, Tales of the Bunny Picnic. The
hell is Tales of the Bunny Picnic?
I have no idea. But The Christmas Toy is an amazing Christmas episode featuring Jim Henson's men, and they were just amazing. Fraggle Rock, the animated series, The Muppets Family Christmas, which brought in characters from The Muppet Show, Fraggle Rock, and Sesame Street, all in one show. And Jim Henson made a showing at the end, along with the dog.
Hey, you're talking about Bunny Picnic, so I gotta go off on a side tangent. We should talk about this someday. Do you remember this horrifying
Water
children's movie?
Ships Down.
This was one of the frightening movies ever made, and it was marketed to children.
Yes.
This thing was insane.
And a TV series was made, too.
Yeah, so that was near the Dark Crystal CED, so I dredged that out, too.
Oh, yeah, that was incredibly
that was
scary.
Violent and, yeah. Psychologically tormenting. I advise everybody that has kids to make their kids watch Watership Down. It'll build character.
Kermit did the Earth Day special. I'm sorry, that's what it's called. And the Muppets in Walt Disney World, that was an okay one. Well,
what?
Not one of the better ones. The Muppets Celebrate Jim Henson. That one was really good. They showed us how the Muppets work underneath.
That ruins the magic.
In some cases, but not in this one. It just told us sing along, dance along, do along with Kermit and penguins. Wow, I didn't realize he had done this much. But anyway, the next thing to post Jim Henson was their attempt at Muppets Tonight, which had, even though Kermit was there, it had Clifford at the as the host. And this show was seen on primetime TV, just like the Muppet Show, and it was horrendous. I mean, even with Jay Leno and Arsenio Hall, the writing was horrible. The way the Muppets acted was terrible. I mean, the show was canceled before it was even a season old, and they burned off the rest of it on the Disney Channel. And because they had a contract for a certain amount of episodes, so they had to show it on the Disney Channel just to get it off, because it was that bad. And we saw the Big Bear on there. I forgot his name. But here's something I forgot.
Big Bear. Who's the Big Bear?
I'm trying to remember his name, but I'll get it in a minute.
Bear Night at Buddy's.
Now, some of the other segments I forgot to mention about the original Muppet Show was, I mentioned At the Dance, where they would dance around and make bad jokes.
Like the Bend of the Greg Sterlace show.
And Bear on Patrol, that was one of my favorites. Fozzie playing the police officer and Link Hogthrob playing the captain.
So was Link Hogthrob a pig?
Yes.
And he was a law officer?
Yes. And
That's funny.
Yeah.
Think about it.
I never thought of that. He was also the star of Pigs in Space.
Oh, yeah.
Along with Miss Piggy and Captain and Dr. Julius Strangepork. They did do some blackout segments with puppeteers and dance segments. Sam the Eagle would come out and do his editorial, which was always funny. The Electric Mayhem would do their own sketches. Fozzie's Bear Act, I mentioned that. Gonzo would come out and do a crazy stunt. Of course, Muppet Labs, where the future is being made today. Dr. Bunsen Honeydew here.
Right.
And this is Beaker, my assistant. Me. You do want to test this, don't you? And Beaker made an appearance on one of the wrestling shows, and one of the wrestlers, Sheamus, we find out he and Beaker are cousins. Muppets Melodrama, which featured Uncle Deadly, who was in the first season. He was the Phantom of the Muppet Show. Then they hired him, and he did it with Wayne, because Wayne was kept on after season 1 after Wanda was canceled, but she was taken off. But she did make one more appearance after Wayne himself was fired. Muppet Newsflash, I mentioned that. And it's usually he comes out, tells a joke, and something happens. Like they drop something on him or somebody attacks him or something. I mentioned Muppet Sports, Musical Chickens.
Musical Chickens. Now that's something good.
They would go out and tap the piano with their beaks and stuff. Panel discussions, I mentioned that. Pigs in Space, I mentioned that. Planet Coosbane, those were...
Is that like Planet Kolob?
I don't know, but...
What do you know about Planet Coosbane,
They
buddy?
would go visit it, and they would go visit it every so often. Plus, it was part of the Star Wars episode, and it was part of a Pigs in Space episode. Tune in next week for an apology for this week's Pigs in Space. The last time we saw the spaceship swine trick, we hoped it would be the last time. Poems by Rolf, The Swedish Chef, Talk Spots, Talking Houses. Yeah, those two were, like I said, the Talking Houses were eliminated. The UK spots, which I also mentioned, Vets Hospital, and Wayne and Wanda. Anyway, Muppets Tonight was so bad, I couldn't believe they'd make anything worse until they made the shows on. So did Kermit and Miss Piggy.
What did they do? Kermit and Miss Piggy did what? Missy Piggy.
Missy Piggy. That's their daughter. Anyway,
Missy Elliott, the rapper.
I don't
know.
But they did do a few web shows, which featured the Muppets doing music, the Muppets, the Electric Mayhem. Now, I haven't seen the Electric Mayhem show, so I can't say how good it was. But the Muppets show with the singer, them trying to do modern songs, it was horrendous.
Oh, what era was this?
Terrible.
What year was this?
I'm not quite sure.
Modern songs could mean many things. Are we talking 90s?
Hold on, I'm checking the date on that one. Well, it was on streaming, so it had to be after streaming started.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Give
me that data point, buddy.
What?
What's the data point? You found it yet?
No.
Trying to fill dead space here because we don't want
right
dead air.
No, we don't want dead air.
It'll be like the other shows, and we don't want that.
Well, I have to see the Electric Mayhem one before I find out. Now, the next time they came back to network TV was, of course, The Muppets, which was a soap opera, and it was horrendous. I mean, it was worse than Muppets Tonight. It's the worst thing they did. The fact that it lasted an entire season is amazing, but they did a lot of I think it was surviving just on nostalgia, I'll be honest, but having them they did do 2 specials on Disney where they felt like the old Muppet Show. Mm. And they had Disney stars on it from like Wizards of Waverly Place, the one with, what's it called? The one with the 2 twins, played by the Sprouse brothers, Dylan and Cole Sprouse. They had him from that one. I can't believe I can't remember it. Wait, Zach and Cody, the Sweet Lives of Zach and Cody. They were on them, and both specials were the closest thing they did to the original Muppet Show since the original Muppet Show, and they were that good. Mm. But now, as everyone knows, currently the Muppet Show has been brought back after however many decades to try again. They did 1 episode, a pilot, which featured Sabrina Carpenter as the guest, and it also featured Maya Rudolph and the executive producer Seth Rogen. Mm-hmm. And we're hoping it got all good reviews.
Have you seen it?
Yes, I have. Okay. I have it on tape, actually. Well, on my DVR. On my DVR is what I meant to say.
Oh, okay.
And it's really well done. There were a couple jokes I didn't like that were left over from Muppets Tonight, but other than that, it was fine.
Oh, the recycling jokes, huh? I know someone who does that.
But you had great things like Floyd saying, we've been driving the same bus since 1978. And Statler and Waldorf up there. And, it was almost like the old show with just a few changes, like the fact that there were humans in the audience as well as Muppets. The fact that there were 2 other human guest stars besides the main one. And there was also, like I said, a couple of segments that we hadn't seen before. So it's got good ratings. It's got good reviews. So I'm hoping it'll come back and stay in the form that it's in and not be screwed up like the other ones. And then, of course, we had the Muppets movie, which was brought back by Jason from How I Met Your Mother. And that one actually wasn't bad. But the next one was the best one. It was Muppets Most Wanted, where Kermit's double gets him locked up in his place. And the rest of the Muppets don't realize this isn't Kermit. But Muppets Most Wanted, of all the movies, it's the most like the original TV show. So that, the 2 specials, and the pilot are all we've seen of the original Muppet Show since the original Muppet Show. All these other things, even with the same Muppets and everything, have just been terrible. Except for the movies. The movies have all been good. Even the TV movie was good. Oh, they also did a streaming movie. It was Muppets Haunted Mansion. Over, obviously Disney, Haunted Mansion. They've done 2 Haunted Mansion movies, and here's number 3.
Like the great Atari game Haunted House.
Yes. But I really loved, the Muppets were the guest hosts. Yeah, I know. But the reason I mentioned Beaker was because of his connection with Seamus, and they're also Daniel, cousin Daniel. He had a cousin who was a goat, which I thought was hysterical. Daniel Bryant had a Muppet cousin too, and yeah, you're right. It appeared on Raw guest hosts. Now the Muppets, the streaming movie Muppets Haunted Mansion was very well done. I was very surprised. I didn't even know there was a video game.
Oh yeah, I have.
And now Pigs in Space.
I should have brought the cartridge.
Tune in next week for an explanation for this week's Pigs in Space. Anyway, so everyone email Disney or do whatever you do and tell them we want to see the Muppet Show back. The pilot was great. We want to see the Muppet Show. Not any more of these phony episodic shows that are terrible. We want the real Muppet Show with Kermit as the host and everybody where they're supposed to be. Don't you agree?
Why not?
So, like I said, there were a lot of specials, like the Muppets Valentine's special, Muppets on Puppets, all those kind of things. Purina dog chow commercial with Ralph, and Ralph also made an appearance on Sesame Street at least once. So I think Ralph was one of the most popular of the original Muppets that didn't appear on Sesame Street, but apparently he pre-Sesame Street. But he was very popular, and he was always the smart Muppet. They always had him doing something legitimate and intelligent. Like when he chased Marvin Suggs off stage so that the guest star could sing the song. She was like, "Get me some scenery, bring me out a piano." And Beauregard brings one out. Who was your favorite guest star from the original?
Alice Cooper.
Alice?
Yeah. That was good.
There's a bunch of monsters in his dressing room, and Scooter says, "Those are not our monsters." And he goes, "I know, they're mine." He's saying, "Welcome to my nightmare," and teacher's dirty looks.
Oh, school's out. School's
out, yeah. And he was trying to get the Muppets to sign a deal with the devil. The final joke was Gonzo, who had been trying to sign it, suddenly appears in a flash of smoke, and Kermit's like, "Is that a contract with the devil?" And he goes, "Worse, it's the bill for the special effects."
Oh, yeah.
And he turned Miss Piggy into a monster. And when Miss Piggy reversed the deal, they switched it back. And then he got on the line to Satan, and he was like, "We lost the deal."
Anytime you can incorporate the horned master into a show, it's usually quite good, entertaining.
Well, that was brave for American TV in the early 80s. But they made it funny.
Wasn't that late 70s?
Late 70s, early 80s.
Late 70s. Because Church of Satan was sort of going mainstream in the 70s. They had cover stories on Look, Life magazine, Time. It was going real mainstream. We could talk about that sometime. Oh boy.
Yeah. Well, if people are wondering why we went back to the traditional talk show format, it's because I wanted to explain these things, first of all, and second of all, I was getting tired of just showing clips and interviewing guests over Zoom and stuff. And
Zoom doesn't work that great. I'm not a big fan of it. Sometimes it's a necessary evil, or like if you've got someone somewhere remote, like you get one of your big guest stars or guests like who's from big media, you might have to do that.
Yeah, exactly. We have 50 seconds left, 48. I want to thank Vanessa, my guest, and I want to thank Mick Hatton for his comments, and Tom, of course, for helping us out as our engineer. So with the last 30 seconds, what's the best thing you think about the Muppets?
Slimy the Worm and Oscar's garbage can.
I loved him. He was amazing. Oscar the Grouch was one. You know,
I love
Oscar
Oscar the Grouch.
and Big Bird were voiced by the same guy.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they always had to be together. And when they were in the same scene, somebody else had to voice Oscar. Okay, 8 seconds, 7. I want everyone to start enjoying their summer, even without certain things. So take us away, Tom. Happy summer.